how did you realize this was going to be an avenue that you were going to be a leader in?
I didn't know I was going to be a leader. There's many leaders in the category. I didn't think I was going to have a ton of followers or anything like that. It just happened, not overnight, but it happened from doing this for more than 10 years. It wasn't intentional. I started creating the content, putting all this stuff out there because back in the day, I was trying to generate business and I couldn't afford paid ads. So this was the alternative. And that's how it ended up happening. My first website that I ever created back, years and years ago was a job website that helped people find jobs. And I couldn't afford paid ads. So I did this thing called SEO. So learned it, started getting traffic. The job website didn't get a ton of traffic. It peaked around 60,000 visitors a month. Keep in mind, back then, not as many people use the internet as well. But 60,000 visitors a month isn't bad, even in today's world, right? And I was like, I can actually do wonders with this SEO thing. Not necessarily by creating content around SEO, just in general, driving traffic through SEO. That was a real start for me.
When did it start changing into this type of content and more of a video delivery?
That change probably happened around 7-8 years ago. We were seeing video up and coming, but not a ton of people leveraging it. We're like, we should probably leverage video. We already create the blog content. Let's just read the blog content in a format that works for video. So you're just using the same stuff and you're just scripting it out a little bit. And that was it. And we barely got any views, did it for a few years and really started getting views and people were really catching on video. And I was just early onto it.
How do you keep someone for 9 minutes? A lot of people might say, hey, that's too long a video, Neil. You got to shorten that down.
Good info and storytelling. Those two things can really help. But the biggest key is good info. You can't get everyone to stick around for the whole thing. But if your info is really, really good, I'm not just talking about like, yeah, I learned something, but like really, really good where it changed their opinion or they're just like, wow, I never thought about it this way. This is why X, Y, and Z is not working out for me. You're more likely to keep people longer. Like you got to go above and beyond. And what I like telling people is there's a lot of good social content. Majority of it gets little to no views. It's the 0.001% that's really getting all the engagement. What are you doing that makes you stand out? And there is no formula for that for me to tell you, if you do this, you will get the most amount of reach. A lot of it's random and luck.
If you're saying what everyone else is saying, then why would they need to listen to you? They could just hear it from someone else. Why do you think that sort of like contradictory approach works?
It's because it goes against the grain. So it hooks them in and it keeps them engaged where they keep reading. It really comes down to the hook, but you have to end up showcasing stuff people aren't expecting. I created a piece of social content that was, here's the ideal content link for each social network. You're not going to like the Facebook data. All right. And then I ended up breaking down the Facebook data. And that did really, really well. So it's like just going against the grain, I've just found works well. And it probably works one of the better strategies that I've seen for social media marketing, assuming it's true. So when I go against the grain, I showcase data to prove my point.
What are you? Are you a quantity over quality or quality over quantity guy?
I used to have the philosophy of just crank out quantity and whatever hits. But I had to adapt over the years because social networks started getting a lot of content. And they have this thing now where if you put out a lot of junk content, it hurts your channel and it makes it hard to get more traffic in the future. So now you have to focus on quality. And when I post social content, I use a framework of test on X first, because X doesn't penalize you if you put out a lot of junk content. You then take your winners and you turn them into short form videos. And then you can take the winners of the short form and make them long form and blog posts and webinars. But I use X as my testing bed. I create the short form video based on what works on X. And then I put that out on the rest of the social web. There's a ton of humor based content and just random stuff that does extremely well on X. Use it as a testing bed. And if you don't have tons of followers, ads on X are dirt cheap. So you can use a little bit of ad money. 10, 15 bucks goes a long way.
X is something that should be in everyone's toolkit. Like it's just a good testing ground for that, no matter what your content is. Do you recommend that?
I do. And to be super clear, I recommend testing on X before the other social platforms. They don't care if you put out a ton of junk content. It doesn't hurt the reach of your future content.